Welcome to another episode of Unlocking the Mind Behind Make More Work Less. Hi, my name is Fong. I'm an entrepreneur, business strategist, real estate investor, speaker, and also a best-selling author. Every single day, I have the opportunity to help others unlock their potentials and guide them to succeed. Now, the reason why I have this show is because as humans, we're affected by so many different psychological biases and effects and affects, and that's preventing us or actually hindering us or helping us making certain decisions or being able to react a certain way, build certain relationships. And so many things are actually affecting us that we may or may not even know. People are actually using these strategies on us that we may or may not even know. So by looking deeper into different biases and different effects, we're able to be better prepared when we're approached by a discussion or a decision or a reaction or some sort. So therefore, by looking at more of these different biases and more of these effects, we're able to be better prepared. Now, before I introduce our actual topic, let me ask you this one question. Do you believe you are more biased or less biased than the average person? Put up your hand if you believe you are more biased. Now put up your hand if you believe you are less biased. Now, more likely than not, I'm pretty sure that you put up your hand when I asked if you were less biased, correct? Probably. Now, this test was done to a group of people before, and more than 85% of the people believed that they were less biased than the average person. Now, how is that possible? It's statistically incorrect, because if it was average, it would have been 50-50. But we have more than 85% of the people who believe they are less biased than the average person. Well, this introduces us to our actual topic, and that is the blind spot bias. And this is where we believe that we don't have a bias. We're against that whole judgment that we have a bias. And the whole concept of blind spot bias is people are biased against the view that their own judgments are actually, in fact, biased. So how is this actually possible? How are we able to go against this thing? And how do we know that this is an effect? Well, other tests have been done before where people have gone to a pharmacist and asked them if they, in fact, were biased on which drugs they were prescribed to their clients and their customers based on the fact that certain drug companies are giving them gifts or giving them incentives and whatnot. And when they were asked if they were biased or affected by these gifts, all the pharmacists say that they themselves believe that that's not going to be a problem because they usually forget about the gifts to begin with. So therefore, they're not biased when it comes to prescribing a certain drug. However, when the question is asked to these pharmacists saying, do you believe that your counterparts, your other fellow pharmacists would be biased with regards to what they prescribe, majority of them would say they believe that their counterparts and the other pharmacists, not them, will be biased against what they prescribe based on the gifts they receive. Again, they believe that there's no bias because they're not biased against it, but they believe other people would be. Now, why is that? Well, the reason being is we are in control of our own minds. We know what our minds are thinking. We are able to think about the background, the culture of where we came from. So we believe ourselves when we are approached by something that we're not actually biased. But because we have no control over anybody else's mind, what they're thinking, what their actions would be, or what their incentives are, then our quick judgment would be to say that they would be biased. And therefore, we do this to other people. Now, you can see this a lot in social media when people make comments about certain decisions or certain thoughts and feedback where they are saying that they don't believe in something, and then therefore you say that they're biased and you're not biased, or they believe in something and then that they're not biased. Same thing with politicians. They believe that their counterparts are not right. They can't do anything good and all that kind of stuff. But they believe that they themselves will be the perfect candidate. And because they believe that they are fair and balanced. Again, they don't see that they themselves have a bias. So how do we go against this? Well, one thing that we could do is first assume and also accept the fact that we ourselves are in fact biased in our own judgments. And therefore, start asking yourself, if you were to hear what you're saying as a third person, do you feel that there's a bias against you? Do you feel that maybe your thoughts are actually biased to begin with? So you have to separate yourself from yourself to see if you are in fact biased. The second thing is potentially bring up your thoughts, bring up your decisions with somebody else. or in a group setting to see if there is in fact a bias. By working together, you're able to work out the biases and come up with the best decision. So when it comes to presenting a platform or presenting a product or a service, are you in fact biased about your own product and going against everybody else's? Or are you actually presenting a fair and good product out there that you want people to get into? So that is the blind spot bias, where you don't believe that you yourself have a bias, but that in itself is being biased. So that's another episode of Unlocking the Mind Behind Make More Work Less. I'll see you next time. Remember, today is the day to unlock your potential.